Hello and welcome to Single and Complete. My name is Olanyinka Okeowo. I want to seize this opportunity to wish us a happy new year. God has been faithful. He's kept us through 2020, through the thick and thin of that year. It was an unprecedented year. My prayer for us in 2021 is that this year we will find help in God, because the world today needs His help. How have you been? I hope you had a lovely Christmas, and I wish that I'm praying that we all have a good year this year. If you have been following me in last year, in the last 13 episodes, I talked a lot about myself, and this platform, if you're joining for the first time, this platform is a platform where I share my story as a single mother, and I have focused mainly on myself, on my journey as a single parent in the last 13 episodes. This is season 2, and this season is about children. It's about our children. I would like to focus on our children, and this is going to be the first episode talking about our children. Before I go into that, I want to thank those of you that has been following me. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your words of encouragement. To be honest, they go a long way. Very reassuring. Thank you so much indeed. And I pray that God will bless you richly. And as we journey together, my prayer is that God will see us through our journey and also take care of our children. That these children are our lives now. We live for our children. My prayer is that God will take care of us so that we can reap the fruit of our labor. As I said, today is about our children. And when I think about it, I'm a Christian, so most of the time I tell my story from my Christian journey as well, because my faith has helped me a lot on this journey. And for today, looking at children, I'm going to look at what the Bible say in the book of Psalm, chapter 127, and I'm only going to read verse 3. And it says, children are a gift from the Lord, a reward from a mother's womb. Children are a gift from the Lord, a reward from a mother's womb. That tells me that the children God gave us, they're gifts from Him to all mankind. And He gave them to us to treasure and also to nurture. God wants us to treasure the gift that He gives us. He gave to us, our children, and He wants us also to nurture them. As you know, one person cannot give birth to a child. I know the mother carries the womb, but it takes two to make children or to make a child. For me personally, very sadly, my husband left unexpectedly, and that alone nearly paralyzed me because I did not see it coming at all. It all happened suddenly, and that means I need to do some work. I remember on the night that he left, on the day that he left, that day I put my children to bed. We just put them to bed, and after they went to bed that night, I asked myself, how on earth am I going to take care of these children? Because growing up, I grew up in a very loving and warm home, family. And my parents were like tight, really tight. And looking at my siblings as well, they all had children within their marriage, and as far as I know, they're doing okay. They're getting all the supports from their husbands. And I'm thinking, how on earth, how am I going to manage with my children alone? Remember this passage I read from the Bible. Children are a gift from God. And the answer to my question is acknowledging my need of God. I needed God at that time, and I still need Him now more than ever before. So I cried to Him. I cried to God to help me. I cried to Him for strength, because before my husband left, we managed the children together. It's either I'm going to work, he stays with the children, or he takes the children to one to nursery, the other to the childminder, and we work together like that. But after he left, how am I going to juggle that? I need God's help. So I cried to Him. I cried to God for help. I cried to Him for strength, wisdom, guidance to raise my children. If they are indeed His treasured gifts to me, I definitely need His guidance and support to raise them. What then happens is that my priorities changed. My focus became my children. Everything revolves around my children. I've had to look at how I manage my work, so it's easy for me to get my children to the school, to the childminder, to pick them up back on time. I've had to change my social network. And one of the things that helped me at the beginning was making friends with other parents in school. When you make friends with other parents, you can, help each other out. One day when I'm not working, I can help to pick up the other my friends' children. And then when I'm working, they help me to pick up. So, I had to change my social network. Things had to change. And with God's help, I was able to manage my work and also my children by changing my priorities, my social network, thinking about, who do I move with? Who can we work together so that we can help our children, my children, and also their children. There were times when my friends would go out to work and I would look after the children. There were times when I would go to work and they would look after my children. I'm bearing in mind that time I haven't got my papers. So I was a bit flexible because I was doing short hours. And sometimes I would find another job whereby, I would need to work maybe from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, which gives me the opportunity to take them to school, to childminder, and, finish before the end of the day, before the end of school time. Then, pick up one from the childminder, pick the other up from school. And so with God's strength, with His help, I was able to manage my time. Remember, I did mention several times that my husband left when my children were very young, and that made it very, very difficult. It was very difficult. But this episode is mainly to focus on the fact that these children are gifts from God. and whatever I needed to do at the time. With His help, I was able to achieve that. I don't know how you became a single parent. I don't know the circumstance that surrounded you becoming a single parent. But one thing I know for sure is that if you have children, I am speaking especially to those of you who have younger children. The children I'm talking about today, they are adults now. This has been many years, and things have changed in the world. Things are getting more and more difficult. It's even more difficult and expensive to find yourself a childminder, talk less of a nursery school for your child. In those days, how much was separate nursery school? £50 a week. Now we're talking of almost £200 a week. Even childminder. At the time, maybe I was paying £30 a week for per child. Now it's more expensive, and I know that it is difficult. But you know what? These are God's gifts, and anything and everything that you need to raise your children, I pray for you, my sisters and my friends, that God will help you. As I said, one of the first things I did was to prioritize my agenda on a daily basis. What is important? What isn't important? How am I going to arrange my children? How do I get them to school? All these things are important because your children need to go to school if they are of school age. And if they don't go to school, that's another problem. And I know these things can be difficult. You may be hearing me now, listening to me now, and you don't even have your papers. I was there. I knew how it felt. And so you need to think about, how am I going to navigate myself? How am I going to do it? Who am I going to relate with? Who is going to be in my circle of friends? Who is going to help me? That's one of the things that you need to think about so that you are able to focus on your children. So you are able to give those children the gift that God has given you, the life. A life that is remarkable, a life full of love and warmth that they deserve. Without God's help, it is impossible. Children are God's gift, and He gave them to us to nurture them, to look after them, to care for them, to give them that life that they need so that they can thrive in the future. If you are struggling as a single parent this day, I pray for you that you will find help in God. You need to cry to Him. I will never forget that day. I cried out to Him and said to Him, Lord, you know what? I cannot do this myself. And He sees you. He knows the story. And all you need to do, my sisters, my friends, is to remember that these are gifts from God. You are a steward that God is entrusting these children to. And He wants you to care for them as He would. And you cannot do it in your strength. You need Him to step in for you. And if you have children who are challenging, children who have perhaps some level of needs, cry to God. He is able. He sends me help at the right time when I cry to Him, and He can do the same for you. As we start the journey on children in this season, I want you to come along with me, because I believe that we can learn together. We can reason together. You may have some suggestions for other parents, For other young parents, please, it is a very difficult place to be, but God is able to help you. That is my message for you today. Introducing my life, not only as a single woman, but as a single parent. And the journey started from when my children were very young. And I pray that God stepped in to help me as I cried to Him that day will come through for you. If your children are older, don't give up. There are still lessons to learn. Let's journey together. And I believe God will help us. This is your sister, your friend, Olayinka Okeowo. Why don't you link up with me? You can link up with me on Instagram, Single and Complete, or on my YouTube channel. You can subscribe, share with other single parents you know. Let's do this together. And I pray that God will help us. If you don't know this God, His name is Jesus. He's the one that stepped in for me. And He can do the same for you. Why don't you invite Him into your life, into your heart? Ask Him to come and take the highest place in your life. And your life will never be the same again. Thank you. And God bless you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. God bless.